everybody, because we are live. So good
morning. Good morning.
So nice to see you guys and to be here and to be in the land of the living and, still have a job. So I don't know what everybody's religious belief is, but if you have any way that you can put positive energy into the universe for all of the people who've recently gotten laid off, if we as the world could do that, hopefully the world will be a better place. All right. How do you put intimacy back into your relationship is the title for today. And intentionality. Like, we got to be intentional as adults. Like, in the busy you are, the more intentional you have to be. One of my supervisees, and I don't know which one at this time, but it's like, I feel like I stole the words out of her mouth, but she was talking about that she no longer calls scheduling sex scheduling it. Because her clients bristle, like, I shouldn't have to do that. It's supposed to be spontaneous. Nothing else in your life is spontaneous. You got like 5 kids under 5, 2 full-time jobs, and like you're trying to get your PhD. Nothing in your life is spontaneous. Stop it. You can't even go to the grocery store spontaneously. So she was using the term protected time, like having some protected time in your schedule. And I was like, oh, that's so sexy. Like, that's so much better than scheduling sex. Just have some protected time. So, all right, what are you guys' answers now that I'm like calming down and no longer talking about a minute?
I think a cool or fun way to bring intimacy back into a relationship is do new things together. It could be sexual or not sexual, take a cooking class. That can be, I just saw the subscription service to like sex toys and intimacy, like games that I'll try to remember to bring back to the group. But like what I liked about that product was the whole thing was about new experiences. Like, yes, it has a sex toy inside. Yes, it has like relationship, like prompts, like little conversation, but it also is just about doing new stuff together. Like, it's not all, like, sexy stuff in the box. So doing something new together, I think, can create intimacy because you're doing something to share with one another.
Yeah. And I'm piggyback off that because it's the same idea. But if for a couple of my couples, that's really intimidating for them. All right. So let's just do something old and do it again. So I ask couples, like, how did you guys get together when you were dating? Like, what were you doing when you were dating? Oh, well, we were doing this, or we were doing this. We would always go here. Can we do those things now? Is that a possibility? And it doesn't have to be complicated. So we can do those things. Or we can do something simple like put a puzzle together or play, have a game night, a card night, whatever. Make a painting together. Like, what? Just do something together, and it'll bring back the intimacy. Like, it'll, there are times when you get with your partner and y'all are just having a good time. It's just like, I remember why I like you. Like, there it is. I remember that's the reason why I like you. And so anything that you guys can do together that will create just that feeling, like, oh, you are really funny, or like, oh yeah, you're so sexy when you start talking about that. Anything like that gives you that feeling. Go for it. Do it more. So, okay, Jessica Renard.
Yeah, I think one thing to really keep in mind is what caused it to leave in the first place. Because I think it's one of those things that, like, if we continue to avoid having those important conversations, it's going to come back because it's not resolved. You haven't figured it out. You're not stopping the things that caused the problems in the first place. So being able to have like a judgment-free zone of what that looks like, both or all people bringing together what they can feel accountability for. Like, I know I stopped initiating, or I know I got really overwhelmed with blah, blah, blah. Like, being able to have accountability for their own part in the issue, I think is really important. And then trying to figure out, like, okay, what does this look like? How do we navigate trying something new or giving it a chance, letting go of any resentment that's hanging on from the lack of intimacy that's been happening.
Yeah. That's so good. That's so good. And you guys, in taking ownership, one of the things I think that it feels like I'm constantly saying to clients is, "When I told you that marriage was work." Like, yeah, this is the work. Like, this is the work. Figuring out how we remain intimate after 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years. Figuring out what stopped, what happened, when did it stop, and why did I stop? That's the marriage of work. And I think for a lot of clients, even though they had heard, like, yeah, I did hear somebody say marriage is work. They didn't anticipate it being like this type of work or the work being this hard. And so just remembering is that, yeah, unfortunately, this is life and this is marriage and this is what it takes to be in a long-term committed relationship. And it does require work. And I'll say it requires more work now than ever before. Ever before, because there's so many things taking our attention now than ever before. I mean, think about just the bedroom at night. 100 years ago, even probably 50 years ago, like TV went off at a certain time. It was not an option. Having a TV in your bedroom was not an option. Having cell phones in any device in your bedroom was not an option. And so you're not making it up. You are fighting to continue to be together, continuing to be intimate. And yeah, we feel you. We know that it's hard. We know that it's feeling hard, and yet you still have to do the work. You still gotta do the work. Yeah, and if I could appeal for you to make it easier, I promise you I'd do that for you. I promise you. I do that for you. I would. But until then, you just got to put in the work.
I think it's important to also realize that, like, a lot of times when you've been in a relationship for a long period of time, you forget all of the work that you put in to get there.
Mm.
And the dating and the interest and the intention and the thoughtfulness that went into courting. That needs to be present. Like, we want to get giddy about our partners again. We want to have some protected time, either with date time or sex time. Being able to, like, who are you again? Like, how long has it been since I've really answered some of these questions?
Yeah.
Favorite colors. Like, the Gottmans have a whole list of, like, love map questions of what is important to you? What are your dreams? What are your philosophies? Right. What are the things that you're struggling with? And I would wager, and a lot of those times, you haven't asked some of those questions. You don't know what that looks like. Right. And you feel like, oh, I know this. Do you? Because some of those questions at the Gottmans, I'm like, I don't know if I know the answers to these about myself.
Right? Yeah.
Because you have to take time to think about it. And if you don't take the time to think about it, like, you know, it's hard to come up with that.
It is. So now I feel like I want to say, like, I want to renege. But I think it's actually a pivot. So yes, we are busier than ever before, and we have more distractions than ever before. But Jessica just made a huge point. We also now have more resources than we ever did before. You know, I think I was in a conversation with somebody, to be a little explicit, sorry for a podcast, but about just they wanted to learn new sexual positions. Okay, Amazon has like 10 books on that. Like, order the books. You'll have them by the weekend. Like, you could be in a new position.
What you use Chat GPT for, like, incognito mode, Chat GPT, dirty talk scripts. Like, do not try and reinvent the wheel.
Yeah, I mean, I am a Chat GPT like follower, and I love, Jessica, thank you, like adding a tool to my toolkit for, like, yeah, that's, let technology be our friends. I love that.
love it too. Like I'm a chat GPT queen. At this point, Chat and I go to bed together and we wake up together. Like it is like, because
Well, and it's
any
funny 'cause
question that I have,
anti chat GPT. I hate every part of artificial technology, but there are some things where it is can be productive. Like I don't want to give technology more reasons to like put me out of a job. So, but we can cache the information that's there and find
yeah,
it. It's just fact checking. Because like I saw a really great
yeah,
video about
that
how
is true.
ChatGPT will provide citations and resources and it's all freaking made up. Like, and so like be really, really, really careful about how you use ChatGPT, but like positions, dirty talk, all of that that doesn't require citations. You don't need like
Yeah,
facts.
yeah.
So like that's okay.
That's so interesting.
But be aware that ChatGPT may provide you images that are not physically possible because it may be creating things out of like, I think people want this,
Yeah,
but like based on your strength, your arm strength, your leg strength, like
yeah.
proceed with caution. Do
Yeah.
not go to the ER because you did something that ChatGPT told you to do. Like,
Right. And I'll say that with any positions book that's out there that you might want to just get off of Amazon. Like, after a certain age, we probably don't need to swing from the chandeliers. Just saying. Just saying.
or
You
you
know,
have a lot of safety harnesses and make sure that you have a lot of studs present.
right?
Like not the male kind, the structural kind.
Right. Okay. So, really randomly, for anybody out there who's following this conversation, the Liberator store is an excellent place to get just kind of aids. Not yes, they have toys. They do. They have beautiful toys. But they also have like pillows and wedges and to really help you get into a position, which actually we don't actually talk about enough on the show. All right. So pivot to the pivot. If there's a medical thing going on in just your body and that has kept you from intimacy, A, you're not alone. B, there's so many things out there that can help you and support you, and you just probably haven't thought about it yet. And so you might just want to have a conversation with us because we can think about it. Like Jessica saying, go to ChatGPT. Just like I hadn't, I don't know how I hadn't thought about that. I ask it every other freaking thing. So how I have not thought about that is just absolutely amazing to me. And so having a conversation with one of us to just have like, oh, I could do this, I could do this. Oh, you can order that. Oh, that's a thing that could help. And so and I think we're all women of a certain age. It just is what it is. The body just doesn't bounce back or spring back. Or if you do a position, you might feel it for a couple of days. And so, but there are wonderful things out there that can help. And so, with the Liberator store specifically, they're actually based right here in Atlanta. They're fabulous people. Every time I've interacted with them, they've been absolutely fabulous. And their support for you, but like, so pillows, wedges, cushions, like whatever you need, because that's been a barrier to intimacy. We can overcome those barriers. We can overcome those barriers. And even more serious. So, okay, let me get even more serious. I don't know if I want to be this serious today, but anyway, even more serious. So I had the wonderful, wonderful opportunity to go to Walter Reed, and we worked with, long time ago, we worked with soldiers who had been injured in war and how to get back to intimacy. So Dr. Mitch Tepper took me, and Dr. Mitch Tepper is in a wheelchair. So if there's something going on physically or medically that has kept you from sexual functioning, you don't want to deal with us because you feel like maybe we don't understand. Dr. Mitch Tepper is still Dr. Mitchell Tepper. He's still out. He's still here. He's still around. I think he does a lot of work with the Shepherd Center, particularly. But we work with those people to figure out how to bring intimacy back, despite some pretty, horrific injuries, And so there's a way. But when you're caught up in the pain and the emotion of it and the loss and the grief of a limb, it's hard for you to think about that like it is. And so when you start missing that intimacy, please know that we're here. Like, please know that we're here to help you figure it out. And I think between the three of us, my whole staff, more than us, three of us, um, we will either one of us has the information in our brains, or between the group of us, we can go find the information for you. Like, you know, and just, I can't tell you just how having somebody on the outside of the problem can make all of the difference. When you're on the inside of it, you get stuck looking at what I can't do. And so it's hard to take a step back and say what I can do. Okay.
Thank you for like putting that out there. I'm disabled myself. You guys see me from like the neck up, but you know, I walk with a cane. And this is something that we don't talk about. Even like among therapists, we don't talk about a ton. Like differently abled bodies, disabilities, like you're normal and typical until you're not. And any one of us can become handicapped, disabled, differently abled at literally any moment.
Right.
I think I touched on this last week, maybe the week before in our go live, that often our sexuality is like put at the bottom of the barrel by our healthcare teams as like, okay, well, like, okay, you've got a sex drive, but like, who cares? Like, we need to make sure that everything else is like that. That's what's happening in our medical offices. And I'm so appreciative that you brought that up, because there is a stigma. I'm talking about sex and culture, but especially about people who are differently abled, whether it's that we're getting older, like you said, we're women of a certain age, overweight, disabled. Like there are people like us, there are sex therapists out there who are here for you to talk. There are aids on the internet, like pillows and wedges and harnesses, and do not let the medical community tell you that you don't deserve to have a satisfying sex life and intimacy with your partner just because you look or feel a little different. Like it's something I'm very passionate about because it's affected my own life, and I've also seen it affect our clients' lives. So please talk to somebody. Don't let this sit for a decade or longer, because there is help. You don't have to be at a deficit because.
Okay, Jessica, you got it. Jump in.
Yeah. So I just wanted to like piggyback off of that. In not only are our brains potentially disabled or differently structured, our brains are differently structured. And so like when we have a hang up or a thing that we can't get past, like sensitivity to smells, sensitivity to touch, sensitivity to germs, sensitivity to textures. So like there's like I work with some clients that are like, it's sexual fluids are gross. Like I don't know how to get past that. Like stop trying to battle your brain. Like figure out a way to have intimacy that works with your brain. Now we don't want to get to the point to where we're catering to the anxiety or catering to the OCD. Like, that is not what I'm saying. What I am saying is it doesn't have to be, we can be like, okay, what about showering and having intimacy if fluids are bothersome, or using toys in certain areas versus your hands or your mouth? Like being able to incorporate other things, blankets, things that help with easier cleanup, or some oils or lotions that help with smells or textures, tastes. That can be really important because there's a wide variety of things out there that could potentially help facilitate that. And like, you may not know what you don't know. And so like trying to figure out, is there something out there that could help that particular experience?
Thank you so much. Wow. Okay. Anything else y'all want to add before I just like go on another like thing? Okay. But because I really want people just to know there is a way. And so what I found with so many clients is because they don't know, they haven't figured it out. And you wouldn't know. Like there's no way you would know these things unless you ask ChatGPT. But unless you talk to somebody else and get some different ideas, and you just wouldn't. So please don't beat yourself up for not knowing. None of this. I have a graduate degree in professional counseling. None of this is in my grad program. So I know it was not in anybody else's. or in your undergrad program or not. Like there's no way in which you would have gotten this information. So please don't feel bad for not knowing the information. All right. Also, I want to jump on. There is no normal. It's what works. So just talk to your partner, please. If something has happened, changed, or you just are who you are, I want you to focus on just what works for you and your partner. Let's throw out any concepts of normal, what everybody else is doing, and mind you, you don't really know what everybody else is doing.
Yeah.
Okay, let's keep that. And so, any preconceived notions of sex is supposed to look like this or it's supposed to do this, please I just beg you to throw those out of your mind, especially if you're having an additional challenge. Actually, I want everybody to throw that out their mind. I don't care what's going on in your life. Just throw preconceived notions because there might be nothing that you deem wrong with you or nothing, but for whatever reason, just the way you view sex or the way you need to do something different. And so it's okay. Embrace the different and really figure out what works for you. Also, I talk to clients about human beings are on a spectrum, and we like so many different things. Baskin Robbins had 32 flavors of cream, because we as human beings like so many different things. We like so many different flavors. That's going to play out in your sex life as well. And so why would you think that everybody's doing sex the exact same way? And if you're not doing it that way, you're different, And so I need you guys to embrace, just like some people like Rocky Road ice cream. It is, I don't know, I don't get it. I don't have to get it. I don't have to get it. And that means nothing. They like it. That means nothing. That means nothing. And so please be just open to having a wonderful sex life however you can. And I think we started the premise that bringing intimacy back into the marriage meant sex, because we're sex therapists and I'm going to go there every time. But also as a couple, please, at least every 3 years, I'd like it to be yearly, y'all sit down and say, okay, what's intimacy for you now? When do you feel most close to me? When do you feel most intimate with me? I think you're going to be surprised that it changes throughout the years. I mean, when you look at it, like, what's intimacy for a 20-year-old versus a 30-year-old versus a 40-year-old versus a 50-year-old is going to be hugely, vastly different. And so even though the more we're with our partners, the more we get to know our partners, but also there's a level there where we may not be seeing our partners because they're changing, but we're looking at them day every day. And so you look the same. And so, but something it might be shifting. And so have great conversations, but I would really love couples to put it on the calendar, just like, hey, what's intimacy for you today? Like, define that. What's really important? And so, I was doing a screening call yesterday for a client, and he's an older gentleman, and he's realized how important the relationship is now. And so he's like, I actually need somebody who speaks nice to me. that has not traditionally been a thing that he needed, and now he's needing it. And it's just so we change and being open to those changes, and not even because I think we beat ourselves up sometimes for changing, and giving yourself permission to be in a different place in life of like, yeah, that was important yesterday. That's not today. This is the thing I need today. And also, so being open to you changing, and then being open to your partner changing, and making sure we're having these conversations. So, okay, I digress.
A phrase I used with a client this week, Natalie, that I think it came to mind while you were just talking was, and we opened the conversation talking about that protected time, like schedule. Very sexy, but what's not sexy is scorekeeping. And as we change in our relationships, I think sometimes we can get resentful over those changes, especially if we're not talking about them. And there can be a very human like tendency to score keep. Like, oh, I initiated sex 5 times with you last month and you didn't do it a single time. Or I went down on you X amount of times and you haven't returned the favor. And I think that communication is key in these times, to make that protected time. I love that phrase. I'm going to be using it all weekend.
Right. I got to figure out which supervisor I got it from.
Protected time is really sexy. Having communication is really sexy. Scorekeeping is not sexy. And I would encourage our clients to, when you feel that urge to scorekeep, like lean into what communication is lacking, so that you can serve that need to get your point across in a different way that's kinder to your partner, because nobody wants to feel put on the spot when it comes to that they're doing it wrong or not enough, or
that part. Okay. All right. Last thoughts, Jessica.
Well, I guess just kind of my thought around Amanda's topic is typically the scorekeeping comes up when you feel like you are accommodating your partner's needs and they're not accommodating yours. And so to have that conversation of, hey, I thought you really liked going down on me and that was good for you as well as me. I didn't realize that actually, like, you do this purely for me and it does nothing for you. And I think it's really important to have some of those conversations of like, hey, I thought you liked this, or I thought you enjoyed this, or I thought this was your favorite thing. I always talk about my parents who were married for 30 years before they got divorced. My mom bought my dad cheddar cheese for like 25 years because she thought that was the cheese he liked. He never said anything. She kept buying the cheese and like, this was not the cause of the divorce, but like eventually it was like, oh, I like Kobe Jack better. And it's like, it's cheese, people. Like, if we can't even talk about our basic preferences around foods, we're definitely not doing it around sex. And so being able to like, hey, turns out I did this because I thought you liked it or other people liked it. And so it was part of my repertoire, but like, I don't like it. So.
So great. And I want to take off on a tangent, but we are at our last minute. And so therefore, I'm just going to say, what my social media girl told me to say. If you like this, like us and hit the subscribe button and subscribe to our channel. And what I really want to say is we are here for you. And so if it's hard to have these conversations, like give us a call. Like you can give us a call and make an appointment and just say, hey, this is a topic I want to talk about with my partner and I haven't been able to do it out loud. So either A, we can do a session and just give you suggestions to go back and talk with your partner, or B, we can just all three have a conversation. Bring your partner in, we'll just have a conversation and figure it out. And so if there's a will, there's a way, and we're here to support you. All right, people. Happy Friday. I'll see you next time. All right, bye-bye.